Welcome to the KST Healing Hub. Today, I have the great honor of bringing you a very special conversation with two people who helped change the entire course of my life, Gary and Tracy, founders of the Life Energy Institute and two of my first teachers in energy healing more than 30 years ago. Over decades, they have guided thousands into the deeper realms of healing, consciousness, and life energy. And they remain one of the most powerful healing couples I've ever witnessed, both in the profound work they do with others and in the beautiful way they continue to heal and grow together. So settle in, open your heart, and join me in welcoming Tracy and Gary. This is Gary. This is Tracy. They are some of the most phenomenal healers I've ever met and have had the honor of studying with. So many people do discover the healing arts later in life, but you two have been doing this now for almost 50 years. Almost 50 years, and I met you like almost 40 years ago. Okay, sorry.
That's
I
something to
think
celebrate for
a
sure.
little over 30. It is. It is. What was the pivotal moment in your experience that originally drew you to energy medicine, polarity, and cranial therapy? You're into so much that becomes, energetic, clinical energetics in particular.
A moment. You have a moment?
Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
moment. I was in college actually, and I was studying psychobiology, and I met a guy, random, just met this guy. In fact, his first name was Gary. Very funny. And we were talking about transpersonal psychology and therapies, and I was really into biofeedback, and he said that he knew something that was easier, simpler, deeper, and did the trick. And I said, yeah, what? And he did polarity. He rubbed his hands together and pulled them apart. And I did that with him. And I felt my electromagnetic field for the first time. And I was blown away. I didn't know that I had an electromagnetic field. And when you start to feel that, I was like, oh my God, what the hell? And I ended up rubbing my hands a lot for the next few years.
That is a damn good one.
Mhm.
Tracy?
I, I'm going to go farther. I think reading the book Way of the Peaceful Warrior
Oh,
when I was like just out of college. And I studied martial arts, and energy was always part of my thing. And then I studied at a massage school, our school, IPSB, and Tai Chi was the foundation of our work to become a massage therapist. And it was all about energy and flow and movement, and then being able to translate and teach others to feel, not that I have to teach anyone to feel it, but the feeling that people would receive inform them of energy. So I got feedback from working with people through massage therapy. And then I read another book, and it was all about energy, and I was like, okay, I got to know more about energy. And then I went to your intro, and one of the other things that informed me was mind control, if you will, Silva mind control. So learning how to manifest through life with our thoughts, and like find our way with our thoughts are energy, energy follows thought. That was like, and that's all Gary was talking about, the polarity intro. I'm like, oh, that polarity therapy, that's for me. And it just kept going. That was a long time ago.
oh my
So I
God.
guess books and consciousness, and then like, okay, I'm understanding energy through a physical, visceral like experience. I'm gonna.
So both of you got into it once you were able to actually kinesthetically experience it. And I think I remember you saying you hear energy more because people can hear it, see it, feel it, taste it, any of our senses.
Yeah.
And then Gary, I think you see it more. So that's
Tend to feel it more
feel it.
also. Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of the people that I train, because we're in a hands-on industry, tend to feel. But, feeling like people sometimes look for feeling in their hands, but actually the greater feeling is in your body. It's a very similar. A lot of people find it that way. They start to experience something that's beyond their material aspect, and they go, "What?
Mhm.
What's that?"
Speaking of what's that, you not only had that experience with the hands and doing this, you studied directly with Dr. Randolph Stone, the founder of Polarity Therapy. And
I didn't.
you didn't?
No, I
Oh,
never did.
edit.
No, I studied with many students of Dr. Stone. And when I started studying this, he wasn't really teaching anymore. He had retired to India. He was retired from teaching. And so the last years of his life were in India. But I feel like when I teach, oftentimes I say, of all the teachers that I've had, he's still, from my perspective, the main mentor through his writings and his work and the journey of his life and what he did. Like, I feel like I heard not just the work, but how he journeyed in life and found it. Because that's a similar thing, I think, for everybody,
Can
that
you
we
explain?
all are on a pathway. And he called everybody, he said seekers. And that's an old idea. We're all seeking and searching for what it is that brings meaning to, whatever we want to say, but our soul, I think, in the journey of being here. And he was a great example of that. He did all the things that people have been doing after him and before him, of course, but he was a modern popularizer of that journey of finding meaning and finding source and finding your answers for life.
And you two are really able to do that so well. I mean, I met you both first at IPSB. That's Institute of Psychostructural Balancing. Tracy, I did not know you had gone through that school as well, and now you two also own that school in addition to your institute. No?
We don't own it anymore.
Are you kidding? Edit, edit, edit. I'm not going to
Well, we
actually
did
edit this
own it.
out, but
We say we were the stewards of it from 2016 to around 2023. And then we handed it over to the teachers that teach the IPSB method.
Mhm.
And we're still teaching there, and our programs are still within there in the state of California, but we don't own the school anymore.
okay. Well, when I was a student there, you two came in and you had us just read people's energy field as though we're supposed to be able to do that. Luckily, I didn't know we're not supposed to be able to do that according to society, and I just did it.
Mhm.
That's brilliant.
And that's brilliant. You're brilliant. In holding space the way you do, you give people permission to go directly to their core and do their work.
Ooh,
That was my experience with
love
you.
that.
And so then that started my journey with you. I've taken every class I could
Mhm.
and am forever grateful.
It's like you
Uh,
got your switch turned on. Like that's what I love about what we do. It's like watching all their little lights go on, and it's like, oh, ah. And so it does kind of push you into more desire to discover and play and connect and see what wants to happen. It's not fixed.
so true. And you've continued, I mean, polarity cranial. You've also done aromatherapy, Reiki, dream work. Am I getting this right?
Yeah, lots of
Okay.
things, lots of things. Yeah.
So True. And you've continued, I mean, polarity cranial. You've also done aromatherapy, Reiki, dream work. Am I getting this right?
Well, I think this journey, you started at IPSB, you started like, I want to help people and I'm going to learn some cool stuff to do it. And then there's another thing you want to learn, and then you go, wow. And then there's another thing, and like, wow. And then, Gary, this word that he used, the first heard it was phenomenological. Like, what is that? Okay, yeah. So we find these things that are kind of strange. However, it's not like, oh, what we think it is. It's our bodies being able to respond to them in a natural way that gives us, I guess, more access to energy
Mm.
and freedom, vitality, and that's what Dr. Stone was all about. Energy exercises for youth and vitality. And it's like, yeah, we have these tools that we can share, and that's really sweet.
It is. It is. And both of those systems, polarity, Ayurveda, CranioSacral, both of those teachers were grounded in Ayurveda. Is that a core piece for you? No?
Polarity is grounded in Ayurveda. Cranial is more grounded, actually some part of it comes from indigenous Native American teachings. The origin of cranial actually has a connection to, and if you read there, you read other people, it can go back 10,000 years or so. So, but it's not really, cranial is not really Ayurveda. It's more indigenous, and polarity though is totally Ayurveda.
Okay.
Dr. Stone found his answers in Ayurveda in India after studying all the energy medicine forms that were available on the planet, literally.
And then synthesize what he learned inside of that. So there's lots of branches to polarity therapy.
Now, inside of that also is a whole cranial piece because Dr. Stone was also a osteopath. So he integrated everything into what we call polarity therapy.
And you come from a medical background as well, right? And a scientific background.
Yeah,
So
a lot of science.
having that does help create a stable base for this work to flourish.
I think that we live in an era of, I grew up thinking that things in the journey of our science and the journey of our medicine, everything became very specialized. And in specialization, people lost connection to the whole. And in the time that I'm growing up in, it seems like it's a resynthesis back to the whole. And that means everything. I think that
Yeah, and you mentioned Ayurveda and the key date of 10,000 years ago, and that's when Mesopotamia and India were also wide open. So Ayurveda was just starting then as well. And when you said indigenous cultures, in one of the videos I saw you show the tree of life. And Zeranpin, the six sefirot that represent that six-pointed star heart chakra, do represent time and space. Is that what you were referring to? I'm just guessing. And how
no,
does no? Then tell me.
that's good though. I like what you did. I think you can take all of this back. It's not new. It's actually old, and people have been doing this kind of stuff since, I don't know how long, but I know it goes back. Andrew Teller still is the first osteopath. He created osteopathy. He grew up on a Native American reservation. His dad was a minister. He was being trained for the ministry, as was Dr. Stone. Both of them were being trained for the ministry. And so he grew up in an environment of indigenous consciousness. And the prime thought in cranial is that we have this innate intelligence that organizes and creates coherence through our body and our life. And the work is dedicated to that innate intelligence. That's Andrew Taylor still. He did not create cranial, he created osteopathy. But and those thoughts of innate intelligence. That's indigenous thinking all over the planet, not just Native American, but he got it by growing up on a reservation.
And I do see these different schools of thought as just different filters for the same unified source that you speak of.
Yes,
So yeah, yeah.
same.
I, I love that I'm getting so many things wrong because I'm getting so much cool information.
You can't get it wrong.
Yeah, you can't, it's not really wrong. It's just that's where it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Getting updated.
Mhm.
Updated.
We're getting upgraded and updated.
100%, 100%. Well, and speaking of that, speaking of source, I mean, one of the hallmarks of your teaching, I believe, is your emphasis on presence and holding space. Can each of you describe what that actually feels like in your body? We talked about the different sensory potentials and what it's like to be in that state when you're with a client.
Really relaxing, very peaceful. Um, there's like a nothingness and like an everywhere you're fully in the moment, like right here, right now, present, yet without any uh, static, clear, calmer, um, like not knowing and knowing and letting everything be however it needs to be, and then following it with whoever we're with, whoever I'm with or what's going on. And it doesn't have to have a lot of words. It's a way of being. We're really into this like let them right now with Mel Robbins' work, and it's like that. It's like letting everything be however it needs to be, and holding, literally holding space for it, and maybe sometimes reflecting back, so the client or whoever can have more of a relationship with it, and then it can digest and move and flow and on to the next thing. uh, but like ease, I think, would be like a way of feeling in that space of holding space with people. You'll have a whole story now.
Forever. I could go on forever about this one. For me, it's this. I thought I discovered it. I did discover it, actually. I know I did. Other people discovered it also in this time. And it's definitely a phenomena that happens. It happens in a lot of different ways without the recognition of it. We don't have to even talk about it. And it happens between people or in groups or in a classroom. I started seeing it happen in the classroom or in sessions. And it was this very tangible experience of things opening up and flowing and feeling a kind of a sense of well-being and also a sense of neutrality. And it felt nourishing. And it was just, it seemed to be, to me, at the heart of everything that we were doing. And that's why I started to teach that and bring it outside of what we were doing and the language. It's amazing to me that there's a language on the planet of holding space. And that has not originated because people wrote these books on it. It originated through people's experience that were similar in trying to be of service and support to a person or a group or a situation. Things just started to open up and flow. And we would say that when that happens, then the innate intelligence is starting to take over and it's doing its thing. And that innate, maybe we could say, in the Toltec tradition, they say, if you're a spiritual seeker or you're on the path, you need to wake up every day and make war on civilization. And it didn't mean make war. It meant that you need to kind of not live in civilization to be awake. You needed to find a way to be with nature and be with yourself and have your own system of coherence in life. And I think when you hold space, it creates an energetic flow and a coherence. We often say it's being. It's human being. We're being in that. We're like in being. We're not like obsessed with thinking, or we're not like, we lose a sense of agenda and a sense of ego. It's still there always, but we're not in that. We're in the flow of life, and we're in the flow of nature. For me, that's holding space.
And source, going back to self, the seat of that in our body.
The maybe the classic idea is that we have a core of
Mhm.
energy. And when we're with that core open and we're in that space, that's going to be it. And whatever the language is, whether it's in cranial or it's in spiritual practice or whether it's in other forms of healing, or it has a similar thing. It's about flow and openness, and it's about being part of nature. And not just, for me, it's not just the nature of the trees here, but in the indigenous world, they'll say the nature of the earth, the nature of the sky, all the directions of life, the ancestors, the children, they'll include everything, and they'll say we're being with everything at the same time. And that from I can't really speak from, it's kind of funny that I would speak about indigenous culture, yeah, I don't have an authority in that, but from my perspective, it has felt like when I've been in indigenous worlds where the culture is intact, they live like that. And they would think that Western people are lost in a dream that they created and that they're missing. They would say that's okay, but we're lost in a dream. When we
I
come
do.
back to self, we're in the flow of nature, which is everything. We're with the everything. It's like also lately for me, the language is, I think, like, how are we oriented in life? And in different cultures, we're oriented very differently. But certainly in the US, we've been oriented toward, let's be successful. That's like a core, and maybe, to a fault, let's be more successful. So that's an orientation of pursuit of things, and okay, that that's okay. But this orientation is much more about being. Not that it has doing, but it's not oriented around doing. It's oriented around being.
And
So,
ideally, the doing would be an expression of that being.
right,
And I,
exactly. Doing an expression. In Taoist, they would say non-doing, doing. That's what they would call it. Very Taoist to me, also. Quite. I think they understood it really clearly.
yeah, yeah. Every culture has the capacity to,
Mhm.
from their perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious. I just popped in my head. You mentioned being um, witness to certain cultures. Uh, have you hung out at the Wright property, the
Oh,
next
yeah.
person over? You have? Do you know Mary and Eric?
I
I,
met them.
yeah. We have friends that are really good friends with them. They were married up there and they're like family and they go up there and, yeah.
That's where I kind of grew up.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, speaking of knowing each other and community,
Hmm.
mm, you two have been life partners and professional partners for decades. A true power couple in the healing world, if I might describe you as such. Um, what has that been like?
Pretty great.
Well, I'm curious because, okay, Tracy, I know you're an Aries, truly. And oh boy, 2026 is going to be astrologically. Whoa. So I don't know what is your sun sign, Gary?
I'm a Leo.
Oh my
You can't
God.
tell though. No, yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay. definitely a power couple. In the healing world, power in this case is going into source, going into relationship. So, how have you two done that in relationship with each other?
Very naturally. It's a fire.
Yeah.
It has
Trans
a lot of action and it has a lot of, you know, we care about all the same things.
Yeah.
And we've always just organically, every once in a while I turn to Tracy and I tell her that I choose her.
Oh my
She's
God.
my person. I feel like a dog a little bit, I'm choosing her as a human. But it's true, I choose her, and I choose to be with her, and we choose to be with each other in life and adventure and pursue the things that we care about and live for that. And we have nurtured each other in those journeys, regardless of where they take us. We just support each other and nurture each other consistently. And for me, it's definitely like holding space is the heart of the work. Our relationship is the heart of life in a great sense. It's felt like that to me.
I cracked the code on a fire monkey.
What does that mean?
The fire monkey in Chinese astrology.
Oh,
And my interpretation of hanging out with a monkey is really fun. You never know what's going to happen, and you can't control them. You have to just like, okay, go. So I guess we can keep up with each other because we're both pretty like, let's go, let's go. We have a lot of initiatory energy. We like to do a lot of things. So there's a lot of things going on all at once. You can't
All the
tell.
time, all the time.
And we both like to go, and I think we can, like I said, keep up with each other.
well, it's been many years, but I was certainly witness to
Many,
what you're describing.
yeah.
And it was so inspiring to
Oh,
be around you two as relationship. And I have this image of you, like Tracy, you would literally physically, like just, you described this, I didn't actually see this, but pounce on Gary. You know, there's a lot of physical. So you mentioned initiatory, transformative. And what you said, Gary, it reminded me of a Buddhist saying about each day is like a new life. So choosing Tracy each day, choosing our partners each day. Yes.
I'm all over that.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same though for the things in life. After all these years, and I've been exposed to so many healing modalities and approaches and things, and I come back to polarity. At the end of the day, I go, that's my orientation, which feels again very universal. It's not very universal. It has an approach of everything. And I choose that. I still choose that in life. I'm kind of blown away that I would still choose that. I didn't know in the beginning when I found it. When I found it, I was like, wow, this is cool. I was just interested in exploring it. But after all the years of working it, using it, teaching it, training other people to do it, etc., I still feel at home there. And I still feel like, wow, that's my conscious attunement to to finding a way in life.
I love that. Yes. Yes. The tea ceremony, the teapot is just a teapot when you first begin, then you learn all about the universe, and once you've mastered it, the teapot is again just a teapot.
hmm.
Beautiful.
So with all of that experience, what is, can you give me an example of one thing you've learned from each other that has made you a better practitioner?
Hmm. A good question.
I don't know if I know the answer to that.
Ask that question again.
Okay. What's one thing, or what is just something that you've learned from each other that has helped you along your practice?
Mhm. Well, like on a professional level, like just
Yeah.
learning from Gary and with Gary and observing, I think like not having to do anything. And like it's okay to just like not do it can just be like this and it like so many things can happen. And I came from being a massage therapist. I'm like moving and working and that and like thinking, oh, I'm not doing anything. My client is gonna think I'm like screwing around here, just like goofing off. You know, I had that like gotta do, and like the work and learning the holding space and the quality of energy. But there's a non-doing thing, so not having to do, um, and it can be just like really gentle, easy. Doesn't have to be so aggressive and hard, and you just be, and that's enough. If it's enough, it doesn't have to be more.
No, but I'm wondering if your work as a massage therapist, as doing one, fed that fire, that Aries, initiatory fire, and again, created a base
Mm,
where you could step back a little more
totally,
easily.
definitely. And
Nope.
I'll go back to the Tai Chi.
Mm.
That was that was our foundation for body work. And that's like Tao. It's like non-doing, doing and going with flow and trusting things will work out with not having to do a lot. And our way of being as a practitioner influences the field. And going back to coherence, that's another like organizing ourselves energetically makes such a difference everywhere we go, not just in a like session.
And when we're talking about coherence and aligning ourselves, etc., it's not just woo-woo. I mean, it's literally we can see it in science. So I think quantum theory, field theory. Um, can you describe that a little bit and how you experience that?
Unless you have it, go ahead.
Well, I'll just say it, learning it, organizing myself with my imagination, with just thinking about it, and and then having experiences around that, like thinking about it, energy follows thought, like all those things I talked about in the beginning comes back to what we're talking about, physics and energy and the magic of it and being curious and wanting to participate. Like our molecules get like excited about that, or our molecules, we talk about sound therapy and working with tuning forks and vibratory rates and syncing up with each other and having this cohesion energetically. There's so many ways to get there, and that's what this work has taught me, like being exposed to so many different ways of um, learning and experiencing energy. And just
Brilliant.
hanging out and doing nothing is a way of getting into coherence because you're settled in yourself and we got so that is our relationship energetically too. It's easy. There's harmony and not everyone's frequencies are going at the same rate. And so you have to allow them to be what they are and have some amusement. Number one, amusement.
I think the greatest way that we affect the world around us, and then of course each other, is by being who we are. And the deepest thing for me is just having been with Tracy. Out of who she is, so many things happened for me in my life out of being with her. Sometimes I would think she's like a muse for me, in that it would, out of who she was and how we fit. And maybe that's not true for, it's obviously different for each person. But for me, she catalyzed so many things in my own journey. Like, I tended to be a person who did everything by myself. I'm really good at that. I can do everything. In fact, I did, for a while growing up, I did everything all by myself. And I worked with other people, but mostly I had this ideation that I could just do it all by myself, which has a limitation to it. And Tracy was always like, what do you need? Do you need anything? And she had a willingness to participate or engage. I was on a retreat in Switzerland once, and I called her up. I said, how you doing? She said, great. She said, you want me to come there? I said, yeah, come. She got on a plane that day and she came to Switzerland in the middle of a retreat that we were doing. Like that, I don't know anybody else. I don't know anybody else who had that much willingness. And sometimes we say what goes along with willingness is a quality of havingness. Like, I experienced in her that she had everything. She didn't really need anything. I still experience that with her. And so for me, out of who she is, it's catalyzed my journey. And, when I would say we would have these moments, like we've done retreats all over the world that we generated ourselves and that we manufactured, and we shipped tables all over the world. We did all these crazy things. We brought people into, into the lava and lava tubes and hot spring ponds and everywhere. We just did that robustly for years and years and years. And we would just do it. We never thought like, oh, what are we doing? We just did this stuff. And we lived very strongly out of each other. And that's a deep thing. It's hard to totally quantify, but it's been really powerful. And it's still same thing. We're catalyzing each other in the directions that we're going together and apart. And it's still, for me, the most interesting thing. I'm like, yeah, we're now exploring the whole Northwest part of our country and getting excited about new dreams, visions, and journeys, as if life was just beginning now. It feels like that. I feel like we're beginning. We're just getting going. And we riff on that and like go, oh my God, we're just getting going. What are we going to do? And we're like, I don't know, but it's going to be cool. Let's go get it.
It is going to be so cool.
Yeah.
I remember when I flew to Hawaii for one of your intensives, Tracy, you picked me up. There were a few of us. Went right to the grocery store and getting all the stuff for the seminar, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Anyone that attends your classes and even more so your seminars is forever changed.
Hmm.
But that's the stuff. That's what people don't realize goes into a seminar. You've got to go get all the little stuff. You've got to arrange it through the paperwork, the coordinating. And it sounds like, yeah, you're brilliant, brilliant. You help create that space by doing those things where we can just, stand in that position. That's how you started it, focusing on what do you call it? How we're standing in order to help start to open up space. But without all those little details, that simple act would lose foundation. So, and I'm glad I got there early because I got a really cool room too.
Right. Oh my God. Do you remember what year that was?
Hmm?
Do you remember what year that was?
Oh, I'm bad with time. Let's see.
2000 or
Oh no, before. That was like
90?
your 90s, maybe mid 90s. Yeah. Susan. That's where I met Susan.
Hmm.
I think you're still friends with
Hmm.
her. Yeah, okay. Um, yeah. Was that mid 90s?
It's all a blur.
It's all a blur. It is.
Could be mid to late 90s.
Okay.
99.
Yeah, probably
Yeah,
later night.
very, very
Wow.
cool. Right? Right?
Yeah.
And and you're still doing this work and it feels like day one to you. I'm so excited to
It
see what
is.
you
It's not,
do.
well, things go through cycles and things fall away, and then it's like, what's next? And I think one of my teachers said I have a lot of consistency. Like I've been doing, it feels like the same thing for so
Mhm.
long, and it's different all the time. It's fresh all the time. And bringing it to people who just want their own personal healing. They're not looking to be a practitioner, giving them that opportunity to be with their energy and focused with their breath and the oils and their movement, and like teaching polarity that way. And then teaching people who want to be practitioners, that's another avenue. So it's not always going. I'm not always teaching people to be practitioners. I kind of took a little time out, and now just today I was like, oh, I'm so excited where our other place where we're living. There's this whole wellness center, and I can't wait to bring polarity to them. And it was just like that just happened this morning.
Yeah.
I just said that this morning. Yeah.
Where?
It's in Squam, Washington.
Oh my gosh. So you're living there part-time as well as
Yeah.
Topanga now.
Yeah. Yeah. So very exciting to bring, like, be in a new community, and it's fresh and lovely,
Yeah.
and the Pacific Northwest. Oh my gosh, beautiful.
Yes. Now, those shifts they often find a flow like the body, um, once you found where the tension is. So, like love brings everything but itself up to be healed.
Mm.
So, as a couple working through this, it's just natural and healthy when there's some tension and then you work through it.
Hmm.
Sounds like you've sort of mastered the working through it. Um, how do you do that? Tension arises, then
Go
what?
through it.
Just go through it.
Go through it and allow for it to happen, and what wants to happen next, and finding this new way came out of a lot of tension and a lot of um, disruption and a lot of loss, and now it's like new.
Yeah.
So
Dr. Stone said that creation
mm,
comes from a field of tension. It's the result of it. And he said, without the tension, you won't have any creation.
Yeah.
And he said, that's how life happens here. We're in a tension field between the South and the North, and life happens within the field of that tension. So for for me, and I think for Tracy as well, life has had so many different kinds of tension. I mean, like, let's be real. In the beginning, I thought, oh, I'm going to get rid of this tension, then I'll be free. And then there'd just be another tension, and I would go, oh, and then I got, oh, life is moving from tension to tension to digestion of the tension into realization back into tension into that process. So when something happens at a tension level, we're both pretty awake around not trying to resist the tension, but find our way with it. And we do that, whether we even know that in our brains, we do that. We go with whatever the thing is and we find our way with it through it, always.
Each other. So the same way you work with a client, it sounds like you've integrated into your relationship. And wow, if we can,
Life,
huh?
life.
Life.
That's what polarity does. It makes a way in life where those things, whether you thought it or not, you do it.
Yeah.
you do enough class or you teach enough, it then is everywhere. And it feels like it's been everywhere in our lives, independently and together, both of those.
I'm vibing on the Higgs field in my brain right now. It's like that field of potential. So that tension creation, and we can't have creation without destruction, that whole cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darn it. So when we achieve a goal, it's not the end. Ugh.
No.
Oh, no. Yeah. Actually, a lot of times it's kind of cool to achieve the goal, but then after a few minutes, you're like, so what? Okay, so that was the goal. All right, I did that. On the way to it, it's like, oh my God, the energy of that's the striving of life in the greatest sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the realization of it is, okay, all right, we did that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
And you're continuing to do it. Thank goodness. Um, this kind of work, clinical energetics, I think even, um, it's still considered alternative. It's a lifestyle for you two. I'd like to think for me as well, although you seem to do it a lot more gracefully than I do.
Maybe.
Well, I think so. But it's still considered alternative by mainstream medicine, um, even after all these years.
Yeah, that term is a little derogatory.
Yeah, exactly. What would be a non-derogatory term you would like to see used more often?
Well, in the traditional world, I mean, they've softened the language from alternative to either complementary or then they say soft.
Yeah.
They've changed their language. It doesn't, I don't know that I mean, I'm not that big on, I don't care. If they say alternative, I say okay. If they say soft, I say okay. Whatever it is. But to me, it's not any of those. It's the mainstream. It's my mainstream.
Yeah.
And probably, really, if we wanted to be more inclusive, we wouldn't categorize things that are, let's say, external to our primary thing as being alternative or, oh, well, that's not, which, but that's our world. Our world is struggling in that way of how do we relate in a way that's honors the intelligence of everything. And to me, that's, if I'm in an indigenous community, they're not thinking any other way. That's what I love about being in that world. Everybody's on the same page like that. Or if you're in a good spiritual community or a good religious moment, I think everybody's going to be on we're all the same and we're all part of the same thing and we're all part of creation, right?
Yeah.
Those are more, to me, that's a more coherent way of organizing or honoring what things are.
Yes.
So when you say mainstream,
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to teach and present at hospitals, at nursing schools, part of like mainstream medicine and mainstream mental health, behavioral health centers. And I'd be the one who's bringing in this information, whether it be through teaching about aromatherapy and essential oils, to Reiki, to polarity exercises, to trauma release exercises. And I was at this one lecture I was teaching, and I was talking about the history of aromatherapy to doctors and nurses at UCLA. And it's going to be a little intimidating, little old Tracy from Topanga, like who's this chick doing this shtick? And I'm talking about the history of aromatherapy, and a very big energy woman stands up and she said, "Stop, wait a minute." And I'm like, and she said, "If you think about it, it worked because we're still here." But yes, I love you for saying that. Like she's like advocating what I'm, she's cheering me on with her realization. So those places where I've taught and brought this work to, they're still utilizing what I've taught. It's had longevity. And most recently, I was working at a behavioral health center, as an experiential therapist. And the work I did with these kids, they're mostly young adults and teens, they would transform through, having connections to their energy and working with oils and practicing movement with me and going through yoga and trauma release exercise. And I've been validated, or the work has been validated in mainstream. And I think one of my gifts is showing up as if everyone's in this train of thought. Oh, it's not weird, it's not woo-woo. And one more story. I was teaching again to a group of doctors and just getting this one organization off the ground called Urban Zen Integrated Therapy. And we're teaching Reiki and yoga and essential oils. And one of the participants said, hospitals aren't going to go for this. They're not going to go for this. And then like 3 other doctors stood up and said, we need this. We know we need this. We know that the system needs what this is. And so more and more what we have to offer is in mainstream. And now it's integrating. So we call it integrative therapy, or we call it wellness advocacy, or we call it, there's other words, but I think these two worlds are colliding. And I don't know if mainstream is going to be a word anymore either. I think it's going to be more integrative.
I love that. And you reminded me too, Dr. Sui worked in hospitals as well. So you're kind of continuing that work, and it's so needed now.
People know that it's needed, and so they're open to it. It is like the doors are opening wider and wider for people. So I just wanted to pop that in there.
Yes, yes. So we only have a few minutes left. So with that, can you give some advice to people listening? One thing I do want to point out is, yes, you teach, and my emphasis has been on that during our time together today, but you do private sessions with people. You help change lives on a personal level. And again, I've experienced individual sessions with both of you, and it was amazing. Or, yeah, it was phenomenal, and it can be so life-changing. So, what are you emphasizing most, especially now that you're talking about the Northwest? Are you focused more on teaching or more on individual sessions or both? Are they both one?
For me,
Yeah, both of you.
focusing on having fun. My newest little motto past since beginning of this year has been, let's see what wants to happen. And so I am part of a community. It's like a coastal pastoral community. It's very remote, and people there are really open to what this is. It's kind of like a portal, a vortex of consciousness in Swim. People are really into yoga and eating well and being with nature and breathing and being healthy. So it's an easy fit. So I'm focusing on community really, and physical community, and then I'm also focusing on my global community with something I've put together called Aroma Yoga. And so I've been teaching people how to be aroma yoga teachers, and it's an online training. So I get to hang out with people from Switzerland and Costa Rica and Korea and Germany, and so many people from all over the world, which I love this way. And then back to the roots of being with people in a room. So I'm into sound baths. I've been hosting a lot of sound journeys with a friend who's an incredible sound person. I just received the sound bath and had the space for her to bring all her instruments and feel that. And workshops for people who just self-care, like TRE and aroma yoga, so people can have their own experience and I don't have to give 10 people a session. I can do it at one at a time. It's like all at once. That's what I love about teaching workshops, because people get to have that access and then have something to take back and keep working with. So
Well,
that's what I'm working on.
brilliant. And I love that. And aroma yoga, you've been doing that for a long time. I think you've built on it and it's flowering. And you even have a workbook, I think. And I'll
Yeah, I
have
have a lot of aroma yoga stuff. So we can go to aromayogaguide.com and people can check it out. Yeah.
and I'm going to have all that information
Oh,
at
cool.
the end. Yes. So let me know what you want on there because I don't want to get anything wrong again. This is such great stuff. Ah, and Gary, I think you were talking about Zoom because so many of us went onto Zoom. I was actually doing my practice on Zoom before the shutdown, and then, the world was there. It was one of the few awesome things that happened during that time.
Mhm.
One of the very
Yeah.
few things. But you mentioned that doing healing work from a distance is actually more powerful or can be more powerful. I think depending on the practitioner and the therapy, like with aromatherapy, you're going to want to be present. Stuff like that maybe. Can, are you doing more work like that on Zoom?
We, out of COVID, we created something called the Distance Healing Academy. And we're training people all over the world in distance healing techniques. We have a monthly clinic that's operated by our graduates. They run their own clinic, and people come and get sessions online every month from our graduates. And it's supported by our nonprofit. We have a nonprofit that supports our students and our teachers and the schools we're related to. So we have this very robust, distant healing environment, and a lot of our teaching is, and we have a big international community. We just launched a 4-year program for called the Graduate School of Life, which is taking people into mastery around our work and learning how to teach it and be in the world with it and find their own expression of what that is. And that's an international online program. So we have a lot of that, and we still have teachings in person. Next weekend, I'll go to Arizona and teach for a weekend, and then be in Europe, and then be in Asia teaching personally people. So we have like, we kind of like, I don't always think about it very much. I just show up somewhere and engage in the next thing. And it's like that. Or I feel very like we live this very strange. We live this very low stress life, and we do so much at the same time. But it's all out of all these years of work. For me, I can just show up somewhere and I can teach and I can work with people. And I have a passion for working with people that need help. And I'm always there on the edge. My practice is like more concierge now, in that it's very particular for people who need what I have. And so I show up for that all the time. And in the same way in the teaching, I'll just show up where people have asked me to come and where something wants to happen. And that's kind of like what we're doing. We're both like that too. We're like really engaging with what wants to happen in the moment of our lives that's related to us being human beings and practitioners and teachers and community members and mentors and all that kind of jazz that we've done all these years.
And it goes back to community, Jordania, and relationships, and like being able to sit with you today
Yeah,
after however many years, I don't even know,
yeah.
and just picking it up where we left off. And like, it's a delight to be with you and your um, Jordanianness. Like Gary calls you Jordania. And so like
Yeah, forever. That's the way I say your name.
it's awesome to like get to kind of go down memory lane and then like what's new.
So grateful. Thank you. Thank you. And I know, Gary, you have a client, so we need to end. Wondering if I can talk Tracy into staying a few more minutes, but thank you for this blessing. I hope that everyone that sees this can feel this energy that you two give to the world. I think it's one of the greatest gifts anyone can offer.
Mm.
So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Jordana.
All right.
Lovely to be with you.